You're here because you want to sound fluent in English, sound natural, and understand natives in the real world. Let me help you do that today. In this lesson, you'll learn over 200 everyday conversation phrases. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. First, you'll learn 50 phrases I use every day. I'm sure every day you say, I need help. Let me share some other ways that I say this and you can too. You can say, could you walk me through, and then whatever you're struggling with. For example, how to export this document. So notice here, the expression is to walk someone. Could you walk me through something? How to export this document. Now, to walk someone through something means to explain in detail, to show step by step.
Could you walk me through it?
You could also say, any chance you know how to export this document. So here, notice I'm saying any chance. That is in spoken English. The full grammatical structure is there any chance? But in spoken English, we generally drop the is there and just say any chance. Any chance you know how to do something. Or you can say, would you mind? Notice you need the gerund. Would you mind showing me how to export this document? Let's try this right now. Would you mind commenting, let's go, let's go, let's go in the comments? Because it would really help me. And this is another way of saying, I need help. Would you mind? Would you mind commenting? Let's go in the comments. I love this one. Do you have a sec? A sec is short for second, so a short period of time. Do you have a sec to help me out? So notice I'm using to help me out. And then if you want to specify the something, you can say with this document. So let's try this one too. Do you have a sec to help me out by liking this video? It will only take a second, so like this video. And don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. I'm sure every day you say, I don't understand. You can say, I don't get. I don't get, and then how to export this document if you want to use that. Get means understand in this context. This is a great one. I'm having trouble. This is in the present continuous because it's taking place now. This is a gerund expression. I'm having trouble exporting the document. You can also use the preposition with. I'm having trouble with, and then something, a noun. I'm having trouble with the document.
I'm still having trouble with English.
How about this one? I'm not entirely clear on how to export this document. So notice, entirely intensifies it. I'm not entirely clear on how to export this document. Or you can simply say, I'm struggling. Again, in the present continuous, it's happening now. I'm struggling, infinitive. I'm struggling to understand this, whatever that is. Every day, you probably say, I need more time. You can also say, I'm not going to make the deadline. Native speakers love using make as a replacement to achieve or obtain. In this case, achieve the deadline. I'm not going to make the deadline. You could say, we need to push back, which means postpone the deadline. So you can use the phrasal verb push back, or you can use the verb postpone. You can say, I'm running behind. Now you run behind on something. I'm running behind on the project. Again, the present continuous is taking place now. How about this one? We need to buy some time with the client. Do you know what this means? Buy some time. This is like saying we need to stall or delay the client so we can create more time. That's buying more time. You create the time.
I just needed to buy some time.
I'm sure every day you say, I'm really busy. You can say that. You can also say, I'm swamped. Notice that pronunciation, that ED is a soft T. I'm swamped. And you need the verb to be. It's to be swamped. I am swamped right now. I was swamped yesterday. Now you can continue on and say with the project or because of. If you use because, you also need that preposition of. I'm swamped because of the project. You can say the project is taking up all my time. So here, the phrasal verb to take up means to consume, use, or occupy, and notice it's in the present continuous because it's taking place now. I love this one. My schedule or my calendar is jam-packed this week. Natives love saying this, jam-packed. And notice that packed, a soft T at the end, packed. Now the jam is optional. You can simply say packed, which means very busy. Adding jam makes it sound more natural and also intensifies it.
Well, our schedule is pretty packed.
You can say things are really hectic right now. So simply using hectic instead of busy to give you a more advanced alternative. Repeat after me, hectic, hectic. And you can modify that by saying really hectic right now. Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. I'm sure every day you say, what's your opinion? You can say, what's your take on this? Now, if the topic is obvious, you can just say, oh, I think AI is a really positive development. What's your take? Or you can simply add, what's your take on this being the topic of AI.
What is your take on this?
To sound a little more advanced and professional, you can say, what's your perspective? What's your view, point of view, or viewpoint? So many different alternatives. And again, you can say on this or not. It's optional. You could say more casually, how do you see this? I see this as being a positive thing, but what about you? How do you see this? Now, to answer, just remember those preposition differences because you would say in my opinion, or you would say from my perspective, from my viewpoint. So get those prepositions right. Now, every day you might say, especially if you're a parent, that's not a good idea. You can say, I'm not sure about that. This is a more indirect, it adds some doubt around it. And you can also say, I'm not too sure about that to make it sound less severe, more indirect. In a more professional setting, you can say, I have some concerns about something about the conference, or you could say, I have some reservations, or I have some doubts about the conference. You can ask someone, have you thought about? Have you thought about? This is a gerund expression. Have you thought about canceling the conference? I have some reservations about the attendance. Or you can say, before we move forward, which means before we take action, before we move forward, we need to consider, and then something. We need to consider the cost. Hopefully every day you're presented with great ideas and you can say, that's a great idea. Instead, you can say, I can get behind that idea. Now, to get behind something means that you support it. This is a very natural expression. You can say to someone, you're really on to something. If someone is on to something, it means they're moving in the right direction. They're making progress.
I really think you're onto something here.
Or you can say, that's spot on, that's spot on. Simply, you can say 100%. Now notice native speakers pronounce this as 100, not 100%. It's unstressed, 100%. Native speakers love simply replying with 100%. This is the same as that spot on, 100%. This means that's completely correct, accurate, or I completely agree. You work every day and there are meetings taking place every day. So you might say or hear, let's meet to discuss this. Instead, you can ask, are you free to go over this? So to go over something means to review it. And when you review something, you generally discuss it as well. Now, you could also say, when are you free? When are you free? So you're asking for a specific date. You can ask, can we touch base on this soon? So if you touch base on something, it means you discuss it. You connect with someone to discuss something specific. You can be very specific and say, does Monday at 11 a.m. work for you? Now you can include the topic and say, work for you to discuss this if you want, but that's optional. Or you can simply say, let's set aside some time. If you set aside time, it means you allocate it, you reserve it. Let's set aside some time to iron out the details. To iron out is a great phrasal verb. It means to finalize or to resolve if things are in a state of uncertainty or conflict even.
Yeah, just ironing out the last details.
Now I'm sure you say, let's start every day. Let's start the project. Let's start making dinner, whatever it is. Instead, you can say, let's get the ball rolling. So to get the ball rolling is an idiom that means to start. This is another common idiom, let's hit the ground running. Now, if you hit the ground running, it means you start, but you start with a lot of enthusiasm and energy, so it's a very positive idiom. Or you can simply say, let's do it, let's do it. So someone might ask you, should we start dinner now? And instead of saying, let's start, you can say, let's do it.
Let's do it, E. Let's do it.
Or you can say, let's get going, let's get moving, let's get cracking. So notice you use get for all three of these options, and then the next verb is in the ing form. Or you can use something that will make you sound very natural in a fun, casual way. You can say, it's go time, which means it's time to start. Every day you may need to cancel plans and say, I can't attend the meeting, the conference, the party, the appointment, whatever it is. Instead, you can say, I can't make. Remember that verb make? In this case, it means attend. I can't make the meeting. Or natives love saying, oh, I can't make it. It representing the meeting or the party or the appointment. You can say, sorry, I have a scheduling conflict. So this means you have another appointment or meeting at the exact same time.
It was an unavoidable scheduling conflict.
Or you can say, sorry, I'm already booked, which again means you have another meeting at the exact same time. You can say, unfortunately, I have another commitment. That is a more formal and professional way of saying, sorry, I can't make it. Or you can simply state, I'm not free, I'm not available at that time. And you can be specific about the time as well. Instead of saying they work well together, you can say they have a strong rapport. Notice that T is silent. They have a strong rapport or strong relationship. You can say they're close knit. Notice the K is silent. Close knit. And you need the verb to be. They're close knit. Or you can use close knit as an adjective and say they're a team, a close knit team. You could use a different noun. You could say they're a close-knit family, they're a close-knit group of friends, for example.
These are close-knit communities.
Or you can say they have a positive working relationship, they have a supportive working relationship. You can also say they complement each other. If two things complement each other, it means they go well together, like cookies and a glass of milk. They complement each other. So two people can go well together. They complement each other. Now let's do something different. You'll learn 33 words and phrases with a story. And this is the true life story of Colonel Sanders, of course, the founder of KFC. Harlan David Sanders, better known as Colonel Sanders, encountered many setbacks and obstacles before he became the success we know today. Of course, notice that pronunciation of colonel. Colonel. It sounds nothing like the spelling. Repeat after me. Colonel. Colonel. Colonel Sanders. And notice here, encounter setbacks and obstacles. So you can use encounter as the verb to go with setbacks and obstacles. A setback is a noun. It's a delay or problem that prevents progress, or it makes it difficult to achieve a goal. For example, the business faced a significant setback when their main supplier increased prices. Notice I used faced. That is also a collocation. So you can say encountered or more casually faced. Don't worry about taking these notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Now, an obstacle. Repeat after me. Obstacle. This is a noun. It's also something that blocks or hinders progress or achievement. For example, one obstacle for many English learners, maybe you, is understanding natives in the real world. Is that an obstacle you face? And maybe you're thinking, well, Jennifer's lessons will help me overcome this obstacle. So you encounter or face an obstacle and you overcome an obstacle. So what do you think? Do you think my lessons will help you overcome this obstacle? If you do, put that's right, put that's right in the comments. Now let's continue the story. Born in 1890, Sanders worked various odd jobs throughout his life to make ends meet, including farming, working as a steamboat fireman, and running a service station in Corbin, Kentucky. Notice that preposition. He was born in 1890. If you have a specific calendar date, you need to change the preposition. He was born on September 9th, 1890. Now, do you know what an odd job is? This is a noun, and it's a small, temporary, or informal task or work, and it often requires little skill or training. For example, while studying, he took on several odd jobs to support himself. Now notice, to support himself, I could also say to make ends meet, which we have in our story. This is an idiom and it means to earn just enough money to cover your basic living expenses. For example, after his company closed, he struggled to make ends meet by working odd jobs. Let's continue. In the service station, he served meals and his fried chicken became popular with customers. Notice here, to become popular. We use the verb become and conjugated in the past simple, became, to talk about the transition from not popular to popular. So you might ask, how did Colonel Sanders become famous? Well, that's what we're learning right now, so let's continue the story. However, when a new highway was built, fewer customers stopped by, and he had to close his restaurant. Now notice the use of however. This is an adverb, and it's used to introduce a contrast. For example, she studied hard for her exam. That's positive. She didn't pass. That's negative. We can connect them together by saying, however, she didn't pass. But you can reverse the order of the contrast. You can say she didn't study for the exam, which is a negative. She passed, which is a positive. However, she passed. Now let's talk about to stop by. This is a useful phrasal verb to have in your vocabulary. It means to visit briefly or for a short period of time, often informally. For example, she stopped by my office to drop off the documents before her meeting. So maybe she didn't have an appointment, so that's informally, or it was a very brief, very fast visit. Let's continue. Sanders had tried and failed at several other ventures, including selling insurance and operating a failed restaurant. Do you know what a venture is? This is a noun, and it's a business or activity that involves taking risks in the hope of making a profit or simply achieving something. We often use this in the business world. Starting a tech company is a risky venture. A risky venture, it's a noun. But it can also be very rewarding. But is the casual, everyday form of however. So notice it's also used for that contrast. Risky, rewarding. That's the contrast. We can combine them together with but or however. Let's keep going. Despite his financial struggles and constant disappointments, he refused to give up on his dream. Just like you refuse to give up, right? Let's talk about despite. This is a preposition, and it's used to introduce a fact or situation that contrasts with or makes the following statement surprising or unexpected. For example, despite the rain, the event was a huge success. So there's a contrast there because you think the rain would negatively impact the success. So that's the surprise. Despite the rain, the event was a huge success. Let's keep going. At 65 years old, notice years with an S and then old. You can say at 65 or at 65 years old. At 65 years old, with only a small pension, he gave it another shot. To give something a shot, this is a very useful idiom. Natives use it a lot, and it means to try something. You should give learning phrasal verbs a shot. Try learning phrasal verbs. Now, to give something another shot means to try again. But you try again because there was a failed attempt. So you give it a shot, you fail, and you give it another shot, which means you try again. Let's keep going. He traveled across the country cooking for restaurant owners and offering them his secret recipe. He made a deal. They could use his recipe, and in return, he would get a small percentage of their sales. Let's talk about in return. You can also say in exchange. This is a phrase, and it means that you give something in order to get something. For example, she stayed late on Wednesday, so she gave her time. But what did she receive? So you can say, and in return, or and in exchange, she left early on Friday. So she gave her time on Wednesday, but then she received time back on Friday. In return, in exchange. Let's keep going. He faced rejection after rejection. Notice that collocation, you face rejection. He faced rejection after rejection with exactly 1,009 people turning him down. Can you believe that? 1,009 people turning him down. So to turn someone down, that means to reject someone. And the him was Colonel Sanders. So it's saying 1,009 people rejected Colonel Sanders. Now let's use despite. You can say despite being rejected. You need the gerund verb after despite. Despite being rejected 1,009 times, Colonel Sanders gave it another shot. He tried again even though he failed 1,009 times. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? Let's continue. Finally, Sanders got a yes. What followed was nothing short of extraordinary. I like this phrase, nothing short of, and then you can have a positive adjective. This is used to emphasize that something is completely or entirely remarkable or impressive or whatever positive adjective. You can say the team's effort was nothing short of extraordinary. So you're saying it was extremely remarkable, impressive, incredible, astonishing. Those are all synonyms that you can use instead of extraordinary. Let's continue. Sanders built up a massive empire with KFC, a globally recognized brand that is still famous today. Notice that phrasal verb to build up. This means to develop or increase something, but gradually, over time. So it didn't happen overnight. It built up gradually over time. So you could say she worked hard to build up her vocabulary with phrasal verbs, idioms, and expressions, which is exactly what you're doing right now. Let's continue. By the way, Sanders wasn't a real colonel. The title came from a Kentucky governor who made him an honorary colonel in recognition of his contribution to Kentucky's cuisine. Sanders embraced the title and became known as Colonel Sanders. Did you know that? Did you know that he wasn't a real colonel? Notice how this paragraph started with by the way. By the way. This is an idiom. It's used to introduce a new subject or to give further information. So let's talk about a new subject. Maybe you're talking to your colleague or coworker and you say, once you update the report, please send it to the client. Now you want to say something not related to that. You can say, by the way, I'm working from home tomorrow, or anything else that isn't related. By the way, did you notice the silent H in honorary? First of all, notice how I use by the way because I just transitioned away from the last point to a new point. But did you notice that? Honorary, honorary. The same thing for honor because honorary comes from the word honor, no H, and also hour, hour. Those are very common silent H's. Let's continue. Through every challenge, Colonel Sanders proved that perseverance and self-belief are the true secret recipe for success. Do you appreciate the last line in this story? I appreciate it because it is a clever use of language. We call this a play on words, a play on words. Do you know why this is a clever use of language? Well, you may know that KFC has a secret recipe. It's part of the reason it's popular. It became popular because of the secret recipe, which contains 11 herbs and spices. But here, they're using secret recipe in a different way. They're using it to refer to the traits and qualities that made him successful. That's the recipe for his success. So it's a clever use of language. Now I'll read the story in full from start to finish. Harlan David Sanders, better known as Colonel Sanders, encountered many setbacks and obstacles before he became the success we know today. Born in 1890, Sanders worked various odd jobs throughout his life to make ends meet, including farming, working as a steamboat fireman, and running a service station in Corbin, Kentucky. In the service station, he served meals and his fried chicken became popular with customers. However, when a new highway was built, fewer customers stopped by and he had to close his restaurant. Sanders had tried and failed at several other ventures, including selling insurance and operating a failed restaurant. Despite his financial struggles and constant disappointments, he refused to give up on his dream. At 65 years old, with only a small pension, he gave it another shot. He traveled across the country cooking for restaurant owners and offering them his secret recipe. He made a deal. They could use his recipe, and in return, he would get a small percentage of their sales. He faced rejection after rejection, with exactly 1,009 people turning him down. He weathered endless disappointment, but refused to let it deter him. Finally, after all the rejections, Sanders got a yes. What followed was nothing short of extraordinary. Sanders built up a massive empire with KFC, a globally recognized brand that is still famous today. By the way, Sanders wasn't a real colonel. The title came from a Kentucky governor who made him an honorary colonel in recognition of his contribution to Kentucky's cuisine. Sanders embraced the title and became known as Colonel Sanders. Through every challenge, Colonel Sanders proved that perseverance and self-belief are the true secret recipe for success. Think of everything you've learned. Now let's keep going and you'll learn 50 more phrases I use every day. First, let's talk about greetings and small talk. You need to start using how's it going. This is the greeting in North America. How's it going?
How's it going?
How's it going?
But make sure you get that pronunciation. How's it? Zit. How's it? How's it going? Repeat after me. How's it going? You can also say, long time no see. Long time no see. For example, Jennifer, long time no see. I was on vacation, so I couldn't watch your lessons. So you can provide the reason why it's been long time no see.
Long time no see.
So I hope you're not saying that, because I hope you're watching my lessons every week. If you are, put that's right, put that's right in the comments. How about this one? What have you been up to? Now you can also say lately or recently, but they're optional.
What have you been up to?
Now up to means doing. What have you been doing? So this is in the present perfect continuous. This is how you greet someone. How's it going? Long time no see. What have you been up to? You can use all three at the same time. Don't worry about taking notes, because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Now you can also say nice to see you again. Instead of nice, you can say great, lovely, wonderful, or simply good. Good to see you again. Now notice I didn't use the subject or verb. It is. In spoken English, it's. It's nice to see you again. You can just drop that in casual spoken English.
Nice to see you again.
Or you can ask someone, how's your day been so far?
How's your day been so far?
Now, this is the same as how's your day been going so far. We just don't include the verb because it's obvious. Now let's talk about asking about preferences and opinions. Number 6, how does that sound to you? You need to know this one. So for example, how does going on vacation sound to you? So instead of that, you can specify the something and it's a gerund. Or you can use a noun. How does a vacation sound to you?
How does that sound?
You can ask someone, are you more of a coffee person or a tea person? Now here the structure is, are you more of a noun or noun? Morning person or night person? Stay in person or go out person? Now you don't have to use the word person. A noun could be, are you more of a spender, someone who spends money, or a saver, someone who saves money? How about this? Would you rather? Would you rather? And then you need a base verb. Would you rather stay in or go out? So would you rather base verb or base verb?
Would you rather fly or would you rather drive?
You can say, would you rather have sushi or pizza? Watch a movie or go dancing? Number 9, how do you feel about that? This is a great one to have. How do you feel about that?
How do you feel about that?
How do you feel about that?
Or number 10, what do you think about that? Now for both 9 and 10, you would use a gerund or a noun. For example, how do you feel about going dancing tonight? Or what do you think about a walk? So a walk is the noun. What do you think about a walk tonight?
What do you think about that?
Now let's talk about expressing preferences and opinions. Number 11, honestly, I think it's great.
Honestly, I think you look great.
So you could say, I think going, the gerund verb, going on vacation is a great idea, but you can just use great to represent a great idea. Or number 12, to be honest, to be honest. I'm not a big fan of it. So you can use honestly or to be honest interchangeably. And notice to be a fan of after you would use a noun or gerund.
To be honest, I'm not a big fan.
Number 13, I use this one every day, is totally your call. If something is your call, it's your decision, so you decide.
Totally your call.
Or number 14, I'd go with this one. So I would go with, and then in spoken English, I'd go with. This means I would support or I would choose, and then you can specify the noun.
Let's go with this one.
Number 15, I get where you're coming from. Or I totally get where you're coming from if you want to make it stronger. And this means I understand your opinion or perspective.
I get where you're coming from.
Now let's talk about apologizing. Number 16, sorry about that. Sorry about that. So notice I dropped the I am and simply said sorry about. And then if you use a verb, you would use the gerund verb. Sorry about spilling coffee on your white rug.
Sorry about that.
You can simply say, my bad, my bad. This is a more informal way.
My bad, my bad.
You can say, I didn't mean to. And then if you want, you can continue, I didn't mean to spill coffee.
I didn't mean to.
Or number 19, simply a sound, whoops, whoops. That's the sound we make when we do something like spill. Whoops, sorry.
Oops, sorry.
Or number 20, I love this one, I'll make it up to you. Do you know what this means? I'll make it up to you. This means I'll rectify, so correct, or I'll compensate for this mistake. For example, sorry about spilling coffee on your white rug. I'll make it up to you. So how could I do that? Well, I'll clean it myself, I'll clean your rug, or I'll pay for it to be cleaned. I'll compensate you. I'll make it up to you.
I'll make it up to you.
I'll make it up to you.
I'll make it up to you.
Now let's talk about saying thank you. Number 21, thanks a bunch, a bunch. This is a casual and friendly way to say thank you or thank you so much.
Thanks a bunch.
Number 22, I really appreciate it. So notice here, you don't use the words thank you, it's implied.
I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate it.
Number 23, you're the best, thanks. Or you can just say, you're the best. This is one of my personal favorites.
Thank you. You're the BEST best.
Number 24, I can't thank you enough. This sounds like a strong thank you.
I can't thank you enough.
It's like saying thank you very much. And my absolute personal favorite is number 25, you rock. You rock. Just do not say you are rock because the sentence structure is to rock. You rock. You rock. Put that in the comments. You rock. You rock! Let's move on and talk about reacting to news and surprises. Number 26, are you serious? Are you serious? You can also simply say seriously or really.
It's seriously? Are you serious?
Number 27, no way, no way. Remember, this is news or surprise, so you need to add some enthusiasm. No way.
No way, no way.
28, that's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. This is an alternative to saying, I can't believe it. That's unbelievable.
That's unbelievable.
Number 29, you've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me.
You've got to be kidding me.
Or number 13, wow, I didn't see that coming. I love this one. Wow, I didn't see that coming. You could also say, no way, I didn't see that coming. Or seriously, I didn't see that coming. And to not see something coming means you were not expecting it. Just know that all of these expressions can be used for positive or negative surprises. It depends on the context. For example, you bought me a new car. That's very positive, right? I just got a new car for free. You bought me a new car. Wow, I didn't see that coming. I didn't expect it. Or how about this? You're breaking up with me? Seriously? You've got to be kidding me. So if you're breaking up with me, it means you're ending our romantic relationship. You've got to be kidding me. So that's a negative. Or how about this? You got fired. I can't believe it. That's terrible. I'm so sorry. Or you got promoted. I can't believe it. That's incredible. Congratulations. So again, it depends on context how you use these.
Wow, I didn't see that coming.
Now let's talk about making social plans. 31, are you free tonight?
So are you free tonight?
Do you want to hang out this weekend?
Do you want to hang out this weekend?
So to hang out, this means to spend time together socially. 33, let's get together this weekend. So the phrasal verb to get together means to come together as a group. Or how about this? How about we grab coffee after work? So here, grab is an informal way of saying get or have, but it is extremely common. Now, you grab a meal, a food item, or a drink item. For example, let's grab lunch today, a meal. Or are you free to grab a bite? A bite represents food. Are you free to grab a bite tonight?
How about we go grab some coffee?
Number 35, we need to catch up.
Wow, we need to catch up.
To catch up, this means to spend time sharing news and information. So I could say, we need to catch up. Are you free tonight? Now let's talk about asking for help. Could you give me a hand with this?
Give me a hand with this, Dallas.
Or you can say, can you lend me a hand? Now, after with, you would use a noun or a gerund. So you can say could or can. Could is slightly more formal. Could or can you lend or give me a hand with something, dinner, or with doing something, with making dinner? Number 38, do you mind? Notice we need the gerund. Do you mind driving me to the airport? You can also say, would you mind doing, gerund, doing me a favor? Notice that collocation, you do someone a favor. Number 40, I could really use your help. This sounds like a serious request.
Hey, could you do me a favor?
Would you do me a favor?
Now let's talk about offering help. 41, let me know if you need a hand. A hand means help or any help.
Just let me know if you need a hand.
42, I'd be happy. I'd be happy to help. I'd be happy to lend you a hand. So notice I would means I'd be happy to lend. So the infinitive, to lend you a hand.
I'd be happy to help you.
Or you can say, if you need anything, just ask.
If you need anything, just ask.
I'm here if you need anything. This sounds very inviting. I'm here. I'm here if you need anything, or I'm here if you need me.
If you need anything, I'm here, okay?
Number 45, don't worry, I've got your back.
Don't worry.
I got your back.
This sounds the most supportive. Don't worry, I've got your back. This means I'm here to support you, I'm here to help you, and it sounds very strong. I've got your back. Let's talk about saying goodbye. You can say bye and then add on take care, or you can just say take care.
Take care.
You can, of course, say see you later. And again, you can say bye, see you later, take care. You can combine those together. And instead of later, you can be specific, see you soon, see you tomorrow, or even at a specific event or place. See you at the movies. Take care. See you later. See you later. Number 48, have a good one. This is a very casual expression. I hear it a lot with service providers when you're at the grocery store and you leave, they say, have a good one. Have a good one. Now, instead of one, you can say day, night, evening, or afternoon. One is generic. It represents all time references.
Have a good one.
Or 49, talk to you soon, talk to you soon. And then again, instead of soon, you can say later, tomorrow, at the movies, whatever specific time or place.
Talk to you soon.
And number 50, drive safe. Drive safe. Now, this only works if the person is driving, if they are the one behind the steering wheel. If that isn't the case, you would change it to safe travels. So notice drive safe, but if you change it, you say safe travels. And safe travels you can use if the person is driving as well.
Drive safe.
Now let's do something fun. You're going to come into my home and learn everyday vocabulary in real life. Let's start with prepositions. Right now, I'm on the bed, but now I'm in the bed. So notice we use in when you're under the covers, under the blanket. So you can use covers for everything on your bed, or you can be specific and say blanket. So I'm in the bed because I'm under the covers. But I'm on the bed now because on is used for a vertical surface. So the bed is considered a vertical surface. Now I'm in the kitchen. So even though there are no physical walls, the kitchen is considered an enclosed space. It's its own room. So right now I'm in the kitchen, and right now I'm in the living room because it's its own defined space. But what about this? I'm the pillows. I'm between the pillows. And right now I'm at the front door. So the front door is not considered a defined room or space, and it's not enclosed. So we use at for a specific point. So this is the specific location. I'm at the front door. And how about now? I'm on the patio. So here, maybe just memorization. You're on a balcony or on a patio. And now I'm behind the door. And right now I'm under the desk, under the desk. And I can only be under the desk because this is called a standing desk. You can also call it a sit to stand desk. So right now I can stand and work, but you can lower it and then you can also sit and work. I'm walking my cat. I'm walking Sasha. Now notice how there's no preposition. It's not I'm walking with my cat, because when you walk an animal, you walk a cat or you walk a dog, more commonly, you're in charge of it. You're in control of it. It's also very common to say, I'm taking my cat, I'm taking my dog for a walk. So right now I'm walking Sasha or I'm taking Sasha for a walk. Right now I'm walking with my husband. Say bye, Kevin.
Bye, everybody.
So notice, of course, if you use the preposition with, it's because you're doing it together. It's collaborative, it's joint. I'm walking with my husband, with my friends, with my family. Now, when I made this short, a lot of native speakers commented and joked, oh, you're walking Kevin. Because remember, if you remove that preposition, it means I am in control. So a lot of native speakers joked and said, my wife always walks me, meaning my wife is in control, in charge of. My friend sent me a text message and said, what are you up to tonight? Do you know what that means? What are you up to? This is how a native speaker commonly asks someone, what are you doing? So up to in this expression means doing. What are you doing tonight? So just change doing to up to. What are you up to tonight? So now you'll sound just like a native speaker. And this is what I'm up to tonight, so not very much. So I could reply back to my friend and say, not much, not too much. Or I could be more specific and say, I'm relaxing at home, I'm chilling. That's a very casual, informal way of saying relaxing. I'm chilling at home. You can be more specific and say, I'm relaxing at home and watching a movie, or and watching Netflix, and reading a book, and listening to music, whatever you might be doing. And here's a very common phrasal verb you should know. I'm hanging out at home. So to hang out is the phrasal verb. We commonly use this with people. Do you want to hang out tonight? So that's another way of saying, do you want to spend time with me tonight? So I could say, I'm hanging out with my friend tonight. So you use the preposition with, person. So spending time socially. Now you can use it with a location like I did. I'm hanging out at home, which means I'm just spending time at home. So what are you up to tonight? Not too much. I'm just hanging out at home. I'm watching a movie and eating popcorn. What about you? What are you up to tonight? I'm walking to the market to get groceries. So notice two things. You get groceries, so the verb is get. I need to get groceries. And notice how I said I'm walking. So that's the form of transportation. I'm walking to the market. If I said I'm going for a walk, so notice to go for a walk, that's just for leisure or for pleasure. So in the afternoon, I went, the past simple of the verb go, I went for a walk in the park. But I'm not going for a walk, I'm walking to get groceries. I made it to the market, but after walking for 20 minutes, mainly uphill, I'm really hot, I'm really sweaty, so I need to stop to have some water. So notice have water, you can use have instead of drink. I have water, I drink water, they're the same. Now notice I said stop, infinitive, stop to have some water. That means I start the action of drinking water. So I'm having water. I stop to have water. But I could say I stop walking. There's stop plus gerund, your verb plus ing. That means you stop that action. So I stop walking to start to have some water. Here's everything I got at the market. So how about this? I'll hold the item and then you say it out loud to make sure you know the item and the pronunciation. These are, maybe they're not that common outside of North America at least. These are plantains, plantains. Of course, these are eggs, easy. This is a pineapple, one of my favorite things to get, a pineapple. These are beets, beets. It's the same pronunciation as the verb to beat, but the spelling is different, beets. This is garlic. I would view all of this as a collective, so I would just say garlic. This is garlic. I wouldn't say these are garlics. That doesn't sound correct. You could say bulb to represent one, so you could say these are bulbs of garlic, but that's not very common. You would just say this is garlic. So this is a bulb of garlic, and then a piece, we call this a clove, a clove. These are onions. Notice that pronunciation, onion, onion, onions. This is a cucumber. This is a pepper. These are avocados, avocados. This is, of course, lettuce, lettuce. Notice that unstressed pronunciation, lettuce, lettuce. But what if I wanted to make this singular? I wouldn't say a lettuce. This is a lettuce. You can't say that. But if you want to make this singular, you would say a head of lettuce. So I need a head of lettuce. Otherwise, you just say I need lettuce. And we got a big bag of strawberries. And I also got a bag of tomatoes, tomatoes. Now you can call these smaller ones cherry tomatoes or just tomatoes. And Kevin got this. Do you know what this is? Any idea? It's hot sauce, hot sauce. I have no idea what's in it, but it's very spicy. Let me share some word tasks that I do every day. Now notice, I said every day. So what verb tense will we use? The present simple. Every day, I could also use any of the other adverbs of frequency, always, sometimes, usually, rarely, never. Every day is an exception because that comes at the very beginning or end. Every day I check my email. Now, if you use the other adverbs of frequency, you could say I always check my email at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day. And to check your email, to check means to look at, to review, to check your email. So you can check your messages, you can check anything, that you can check the status of something. So I provide feedback. So notice provide feedback. Feedback is the noun. I provide feedback to my students in the Finally Fluent Academy. I prepare lessons for all of you on YouTube. Now, I could also say I make lessons because I create the lessons. But sometimes my students say I make lessons or I make homework, but that's the wrong collocation. That's the wrong verb. Because for you, if you are completing it, you are doing it. You want the verb do. But because I create the homework, I can say I make the homework. You do the homework, I make the homework. You do the lessons, I make the lessons. Here's an important verb I hear a lot of mistakes with: to follow up with someone. So every day I follow up with my staff, for example. Now, if you follow up with someone, it means you continue a conversation you previously had. So if I ask someone on my team to create something, the next day I can follow up with them and ask them for the status of that. So if you ask me a question and I don't reply, you can follow up with me and send me another message because you're continuing the conversation. Well, I have to get back to work now. Let's talk about cooking. I'm going to make pasta sauce. But first, I don't want to get my shirt dirty, so I need to put on, what's this? An apron. And notice that phrasal verb. I put on the apron, and then the opposite, I take off the apron. Now that I'm wearing the apron, I can cut up the onion. So first, I peel the onion. So to remove the skin, you peel the onion. Now you can slice, which is like this, slice. And then chop is just larger pieces, so to chop. But then to dice would be to take these pieces and then make them very small. So right now I'm dicing the onion. I'm cutting it into very small pieces. So you need to knead the dough. Do you know that verb, to knead the dough? Now, some things are just difficult to explain verbally. You just have to see it. So right now, I'm kneading the dough. And notice I said you need to knead the dough because I wanted you to hear that the pronunciation is exactly the same. There's a silent K on the verb to knead, just like night, a night, silent K, knit, silent K, know, to know, sounds exactly the same as know. And of course, silent K on this, knife. Can you think of any others? Share one more silent K in the comments. As my onions are browning, let's do a little pop quiz. How many do you know? Let's start with this. What's this called? A spoon. What's this? A garlic press. What are these? Measuring spoons. And these? Measuring cups. These are oven mitts. This is a can opener. And this? A ladle. How about this? A spatula. A lot of native speakers just call it a flipper, but it's a spatula. These are tongs. I'll need this after the pasta cooks. It's a colander, but most native speakers call it a strainer. And I'll need this at the end, a cheese grater, just a grater. And this is a cutting board. How many did you get right? Share it in the comments. Look at this beautiful pasta. I hope my Italian students are proud. And my water is boiling. The sauce is simmering, which means cooking at a low temperature, simmering. I want to show you this beautiful loaf of bread. Notice you can't say a bread because you can't make bread singular, a bread. So if you want to specify one, you say a loaf of bread. And this is brioche. Now Kevin and I, my husband and I, we picked it up. Now to pick something up in this case means to get from a store. So, oh, I need to pick up milk. I'm out of milk, I have no milk, I need to pick up milk. So we picked up this beautiful loaf of brioche bread to go with our pasta. I am a very messy cook, so let's talk about clean, clean up, wipe, wipe up. If I say I need to clean the kitchen, that sounds more in general. So it could mean washing the dishes, cleaning the floor, cleaning the counters. So it just means in total. But clean up is a specific area. So I would say, oh, I need to clean up. It's the specific mess I made, not the total kitchen. Now, same for wipe. If you wipe the counters, it's just the entire thing. But if you wipe up a specific mess or spill. So right now, I'm wiping up the pasta sauce. And I need to clean up before I eat my delicious pasta. And the final product, doesn't it look delicious? Now you can just say, have a good meal or enjoy. And native speakers often borrow the French bon appetit. And I am going to enjoy this. Remember the brioche bread from pasta last night? Well, now I'm using the leftovers to make French toast. So notice I said the leftovers, that's a noun. The leftovers means the remaining food item, the leftovers. I could also say I'm using the leftover bread, and now leftover is an adjective. I forgot this in our quiz. What's this? A whisk, a whisk. And the verb is to whisk. So for my French toast, I have eggs, milk, cinnamon, a little sugar and salt, and my secret ingredient, maple syrup, a little bit of maple syrup. So I could say I'm going to whisk the ingredients using the verb whisk. You could also just say mix the ingredients. Now, native speakers often add the phrasal verb up to certain verbs. So I could say I'm going to mix up the ingredients. So mix and mix up here, they mean the same thing. It means combine together, just like I'm doing now. but you don't want to mix up the sugar and the salt. So here, mix up also has a different meaning. It means to use the wrong one. So if you mix up the sugar and salt, it means you use salt when you wanted sugar, or the other way around. So don't mix up the sugar and salt. What was this? Remember? A spatula. But what did I say native speakers commonly call this? A flipper. Because now it's time to flip the French toast. So this is the verb to flip, to go from one side to the other, to turn over, but we would say to flip, so I'll do that now. To flip. And that's why we commonly call this a flipper, but remember, it's a spatula. And look at this beautiful French toast. There's only one thing left to do, the secret ingredient, the maple syrup. So I'm going to pour the maple syrup. Now, if you use a noun, you use the preposition on. So right now I'm pouring the maple syrup, but I could also say I'm pouring the maple syrup on the French toast. I'm pouring it on the French toast. And now it's ready to eat. So now I'm getting ready. So to get ready is the general term we use for everything you need to do. So it would involve showering, brushing your teeth, putting on makeup, which I'm doing now, getting dressed, all of those things together, you can say get ready. So I'm getting ready. So I'm putting on makeup. So that's the phrasal verb, to put on makeup. You can also use apply makeup, but that sounds more technical. Maybe you would hear it in instructions. Now, right now I'm putting on face cream. So again, I could say apply, but that sounds a little more technical. If this were a medical cream, a doctor would say apply it 3 times a day. But in everyday use, you put on makeup, you put on cream. And after, I'll blow dry and then style my hair. And then my final step of getting ready is I'll pick out what I'm going to wear. So pick out means to select. So, should I wear this shirt or this shirt? So to pick out. I picked this dress out, so now I need to get dressed, so get out of here. So I'm going out for a bit. Notice that, I'm going out. That's what a native speaker would use to say, I'm leaving the house. It can be for any purpose. It can be to run an errand. Notice you run an errand. To run an errand, to get groceries, to go to work, or for social, which I'm doing, to go to a cafe. So you can say, I'm going out. I'm leaving the house. Now, native speakers, we love using the verb head as a replacement to go, but only in specific situations. So you can learn this phrase, I'm heading out. I'm heading out, which means I'm going out. So I'm heading out. Now you can also say I'm heading to and then a location. Just like you would say I'm going to a cafe, I'm going to the store, I'm going to the movies. You can say I'm heading to the movies, to the store. I'm heading to the cafe. So what's the final thing you need to do when you leave your house, when you go out, when you head out? You need to lock the door. So you can say, I'm locking the door. You can also use the phrasal verb lock up. I'm locking up. I just locked up in the past simple. I just locked up. Don't forget to lock up before you head out. So on the way to the cafe, I just need to stop by the bank, the ATM. Notice I said I need to stop by. So that phrasal verb to stop by, you could also use to swing by interchangeably. To stop by, to swing by, that means to go to a place quickly and on your way to another location. So on your way to the final destination, you go to a different place. So maybe on your way home from work, you stop by the store to pick up milk. So I need to take out money. Take out is the phrasal verb that you use to get money. I need to take out money from the ATM. I need to get money. I made it to the cafe and I ordered my cappuccino. Now, when I ordered this, what do you think I said? I said, I will get a cappuccino. If I wanted to sound a little more polite, I might say, can I get a cappuccino? I could also say, I'll have a, or I'll take a. I'll get a, I'll have a, or I'll take a cappuccino. Now, right now, I'm in a cafe because this is an enclosed space. And right now, I'm at a cafe. I cannot say in because I am not inside. I'm not enclosed in the space, so you cannot say in. I'm at a cafe. It's the precise point on the map. Now this is the patio for the cafe. So what's that preposition? I'm on the patio, or I could say I'm at the cafe. And now I'm in the cafe. I could also say I'm at the cafe to refer to a precise location, but because I'm physically enclosed, you can also use that preposition in. So now I'm going to enjoy my delicious cappuccino in the cafe. Amazing job so far. Now you'll learn 25 idioms to describe personality. Number 1, a people person. This is a must-know idiom. This is someone who enjoys interacting with others and is good at building relationships. For example, Jason is a real people person. So notice here, I'm using real to modify it, to intensify it. And don't forget that article, a people person. So he always makes everyone feel welcome.
I'm a people person.
Or you can say, we need a people person for this customer service position. Don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Number 2, a go-getter. I love this one. It describes me, and I'm sure it describes you. A go-getter is someone who is ambitious and takes initiative to achieve their goals. For example, the team hired him because he's a go-getter. He is. So notice you need the verb to be conjugated with your subject and time reference. He is, he's a go-getter. Or you can say, I like working with go-getters. So notice here, I added that S to the noun to make it the whole category of people with go-getters because they push projects forward.
He's a go-getter.
Or maybe you're thinking, I'm a real go-getter when it comes to improving my English fluency. Does that describe you? If it does, put that's me, put that's me in the comments. Number 3, I'm sure this describes you as well, a smart cookie. So this is someone who is intelligent or clever, someone who is smart, but you can just add cookie to make it sound more casual and fun. Emma is a smart cookie. She solved that complex problem in no time.
Yeah, she was a smart cookie.
Or you're a smart cookie if you can figure out how to make that deal work. So notice, this is conditional. Number 4, a social butterfly. This is someone who is very outgoing and enjoys socializing with others. I wouldn't say that describes me, to be honest. At the party, Noor was a social butterfly, talking to everyone in the room. Or you can say as a. This is a very powerful structure, so remember this, and I'll show you more examples as we go on. As a, and then any of these idioms. As a social butterfly. Pedro always knows what's happening around the office. Number 5, a couch potato. You may know this one. It doesn't describe me. Hopefully, it doesn't describe you. This is someone who spends a lot of time sitting and watching TV or being inactive. So generally, when we say someone is a couch potato, it's a negative. We're calling them lazy. So you might say, I used to be a couch potato. So that is in the past, but not the present. But now I enjoy going to the gym. Or you might use the imperative in the negative and say don't be a couch potato. Let's go for a walk after lunch. So the opposite behavior of a couch potato. Number 6, a jack of all trades. Do you know this one? This is very common. This is a person who is skilled in many different areas, but not necessarily an expert in one of those areas. For example, my uncle is a jack of all trades. He can repair computers, fix plumbing issues, and cook gourmet dinners. Or remember that as a. Don't forget that article if it's a singular. So in this case, it is because it's a jack. As a jack of all trades. She's able to communicate to every department in the company. So notice you have Jack, which is a male's name in North America, but this idiom is gender neutral. You can use it with males and females. Number 7, a straight shooter. This is a positive idiom. It's someone who is honest and straightforward. So straightforward in the sense that they tell you information directly. I appreciate working with Peter. He's a straight shooter. Or the manager is a straight shooter. She gives constructive criticism directly. Number 8, a big shot. Do you know this one? This is a person of great importance or influence in a particular field or organization. Now, you might say to your friend or colleague, don't be intimidated by him because he's a big shot. So you might think that someone who is a big shot isn't a people person, isn't approachable, but don't be intimidated.
Oh, Ken Park's such a big shot.
Or you can say, Evelyn's been acting like a big shot since she got promoted. In this case, it sounds negative. So it sounds like she's acting like she's more important than everyone else because she got promoted. So notice that verb in this case, acting like a big shot. Number 9, set in one's ways. This is someone who is resistant to change and prefers things to remain the same. Does that describe you? My grandmother is set in her ways. So notice it needs to be possessive to the person. And here's an example of how she's set in her ways. She still refuses to use a smartphone. Or he's so set in his ways, and don't forget that S, it's always S on ways, that he instantly dismisses any new ideas. So if he dismisses them, it means he doesn't consider them. He just says no. Number 10, a worrywart. Hopefully this doesn't describe you. This is someone who worries excessively, so a lot, about things, often unnecessarily. So you might say, don't tell Sarah that the client didn't like the presentation. She's such a worrywart. So she'll worry about it tonight, tomorrow, a month from now, even though it's not a big deal.
Oh, Herbert, you're such a worrywart.
Or you might tell your friend, your sister, your husband, don't be a worrywart. The project isn't due for weeks, so they're staying up at night worried because they're a worrywart. Number 11, a cheapskate. A cheapskate. Have you heard this one? This is someone who is unwilling to spend money or is very frugal. This has a negative sound to it. For example, Tim brings his own popcorn to the movies. He's a cheapskate. Or don't be a cheapskate. So again, that imperative in the negative. Don't be a cheapskate. The more expensive one will last longer. Number 12, a cold fish. This is the opposite of a people person and the opposite of a social butterfly. This is someone who is emotionally distant or unfriendly. Dan may seem like a cold fish, but I think he's just shy.
He's a cold fish.
Or he can be a cold fish sometimes, especially in large groups. Number 13, a backseat driver. Maybe you've been a backseat driver or you've experienced this. This is someone who gives unwanted advice or tries to control a situation. So you can say, stop being a backseat driver, you're making me nervous.
Nobody likes the backseat driver, Klaus.
Now this is very commonly used when someone is actually driving and then the person beside you or in the back seat says, turn left, change lanes, go here, don't drive so fast. That's being a backseat driver. But you can also use this in a non-driving context. For example, stop being a backseat driver and let me handle the presentation my way. So this is someone who's trying to tell you, change this, do this, add this, but you don't want their advice. Number 14, a busybody. This is someone who is overly interested in other people's personal or private matters. You could say, I wish my neighbor would stop being such a busybody. So if you have a fence that divides your property, maybe your neighbor is always trying to look over your fence. That's a busybody. Or you can say, if you keep acting like a busybody, nobody will want to work with you. Number 15, a wet blanket. Hopefully this doesn't describe you. This is someone who dampens the mood or kills the fun. For example, it's only 9 p.m. and you want to go home? Don't be such a wet blanket. So you're having fun at the party, but your friend, your cousin, your spouse says, oh, I'm tired, let's go. So they're dampening the mood, they're killing the fun.
I'm a wet blanket.
You can say, I don't want to be a wet blanket, but we need to discuss why our sales are down. So having a negative discussion can dampen the mood, but sometimes you need to have those tough conversations. Number 16, a loose cannon. You don't want this person on your team. This is someone who is unpredictable and can cause trouble unintentionally. You can say he's a bit of a loose cannon. So a bit of is reducing it. It's making it less intense. We never know what he'll do next. So he's unpredictable, but his actions can have negative consequences. Or you can say a few members of the team are loose cannons. So here, notice because I have a few members, that's plural, so I need to add my S to the noun, loose cannons. They never follow protocols, which are the instructions. Number 17, do you know this one? A bull in a china shop. This probably describes me. This is someone who is very clumsy or careless, especially in delicate situations. Now, in this case, china refers to delicate porcelain or ceramics, not the country. You could say, don't ask Sarah to help you move. She's like a bull in a china shop. So notice here, I'm using to be like a and then the idiom, which means she's careless. She might break your items as she's helping you move. That probably describes me. Or you can say, I never go into antique shops. I'm like a bull in a china shop. So I might accidentally knock something over that's very valuable. Again, that describes me. Number 18, a dark horse. This is someone or something that is not well known, but has the potential to surprise or succeed.
Talk about a dark horse.
This is often used in competitions, political, sports. He was a dark horse in the competition, but in the end, he won first place. So he was not well known, but then he won. Or you can say she's a dark horse. No one expected her to be promoted so quickly. Number 19, a lone wolf. This is someone who prefers to work alone and doesn't like being part of a group. Here's that structure with as. As a lone wolf, he prefers handling projects on his own.
I'm a lone wolf.
Or you can say the lone wolf approach doesn't work in our company. We value teamwork and collaboration. Number 20, a know-it-all. Oh, you don't want to be this. This is someone who behaves as though they know everything and refuses to listen to others. So again, because this is a negative, you could use the imperative in the negative. Don't. Don't act like. You could say don't be, or you can use to act like. Don't act like a know-it-all. You need to listen to other ideas before making a decision. Or you can say, I don't want to seem like a know-it-all, but I have experience with this issue. 21, a creature of habit. You probably know this one, so let's make sure you feel comfortable using it. This is someone who prefers routines and does things in the same way all the time. This definitely describes me. Amelia is a creature of habit. So she won't like these new changes. In this case, that sounds more negative, that the person isn't open to change. So in that case, it doesn't describe me, but this next one does. As a creature of habit, I've been eating the same breakfast for over 10 years. This is true. Ask my husband. He is sick of oatmeal every day, but that's what we have. Number 22, a breath of fresh air. This is someone or something that is new, refreshing, and brings positive change. You can say working with Emily has been a breath of fresh air. So she brings new ideas to every meeting. She brings a new perspective, new energy, new personality. She's a breath of fresh air, and this is positive. You can say after the long meeting, the interactive presentation, so something was a breath of fresh air and lifted everyone's spirits. So it was a welcome change. 23, a stickler. I like this one. Now you can say a stickler for the rules. That's the full idiom, but most natives, we drop the for the rules and just say stickler. This is someone who insists on following rules strictly and doesn't like bending them. So bending them means changing them slightly if the consequence doesn't seem extreme. For example, Greg is such a stickler, he won't even let us leave 5 minutes early. So in this case, although the shift ends at 5, does it really matter if people leave at 4:55 on a Friday? So you bend the rules. You let people leave 5 minutes early, but Greg will not because he's a stickler. Or you could say, I'm a manager now, so I need to be a stickler. I need to enforce the rules. It's my job. Number 24, this is for all the parents, a class clown. This is a person, usually a child, who is always joking or causing trouble in a funny way. But we generally use this with kids in school. For example, my son was a complete class clown. So complete intensifies it, a complete class clown. But now he's a big shot on Wall Street. Or you can say often kids act like class clowns because they're bored or unengaged. And idiom 25, a tough nut to crack. This is someone or something that is difficult to understand or deal with. You can say Tim is a tough nut to crack. It's hard to get him to open up. So to open up, that means to be honest about how he's feeling or the real details of his life, to open up. Or you can say the team has been trying to solve this issue for weeks. The issue is a tough nut to crack. So it's difficult to solve or understand. Think of how much you learned today. Do you want me to keep teaching you natural phrases? If you do, put yes, 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 put yes, yes, yes in the comments below. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here's another lesson I know you'll love. Make sure you watch it now.